Are you ready?
Good.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Call our regular meeting to order. It's July 5th. Go ahead and do the pledge. And Mark, can you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mark. All right. Let's go ahead with roll call.
Commissioner District 1, Randy Netherland.
I'm here.
Commissioner District 2, Kevin Schutte.
Here.
Commissioner District 3, Sharon Trask.
I'm here. Thank you. Move on to correspondence and organizational business. Do we have any correspondence?
We do. The Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board sent in the following. Notice of special occasion liquor license applications for Allen Community Association, Hood Canal Salmon Enhancement Group, and North Mason Rotary Club. Location change notice for Black Sushi Cannabis, and license renewal information for liquor and cannabis license holders. Scott Gelatley sent in a letter regarding property concerns and information. Eric Steffens, Conservation Director, sent in a notice of property acquisition in Tahuya. The Washington Secretary of the Interior sent in a letter regarding payments in lieu of taxes program. And the Olympic Region Clean Air Agency sent in a letter regarding the Washington Clean Air Act.
Great, thank you. During this time, I would like to go ahead and ask Mark to give us kind of an update as to the fire.
Our 4th of July
Our
fire.
4th of July fire.
So I can give you the details that I have so far. And so yesterday afternoon about 2 p.m., Central Mason responded to a fire out off of McCoon Prairie. Got out of hand, so they contacted the Department of Natural Resources. Our emergency management was notified about 4 p.m. in the afternoon. They had to evacuate 250 homes. 260 acres were fully engulfed at midnight. They were able to establish a fire line around 90% of the fire last night with a bulldozer, so they created a fire line. The state emergency department actually officially activated our emergency management operations. And John Taylor, our emergency manager, requested and was approved for FMAG, which stands for Fire Management Assistance Grant. And so some additional resources are coming in today. So we did have quite an aerial show, I believe, yesterday afternoon with resources from the Department of Natural Resources in fighting the fire, which thank you for your service and thank you for showing up. Really appreciate the hard work of all of our Central Mason crews and any other crews that responded to the fire. Like I said, some reserves firefighters are coming in this morning, so they're arriving as we speak. And they currently have incident command at the Mason County High School. And there's also a shelter for individuals that have had to evacuate their homes at the Oakland Bay Middle School, which is at 3301 North Shelton Springs Road. So if individuals need a place to stay while they're evacuated, they can go to Oakland Bay Middle School. I believe that there are a number of other organizations around the community that have kind of opened up their doors to individuals that might have been impacted by the fire. Those aren't specifically through our emergency management division, but they may be available for individuals that are looking at social media and see that. So those resources are not part of the Mason County's response, but definitely part of our community's response to the events that occurred. So we're hopeful last night that the weather kind of calmed down the fire a little bit, so the winds died down a little bit, which definitely helped, and we should receive continual updates today.
Great, thank you, and huge thanks out to DNR and everybody else that helped with everything that was going on. We have an amazing community, and DNR, we were close enough so we would go check on it every now and then, we were lucky enough, if you can call it luck, to see one of the planes drop their fire suppression. It was skill. They're pretty good at what they do.
I think they had a pretty significant concern with our PUD3 transmission lines and communication lines, kind of right in the middle of it all. And so I think they really focused on trying to prevent the fire from impacting those transmission lines.
Right, and I believe they came from other fires throughout the state as well.
Yeah, I was talking to our emergency manager this morning, and I believe he said that there was 8 other fires going on at the same time. So there's one that started up in Forks about the same time that ours started. And so the air resources were kind of spread throughout our state. And they were able to stay here as long as they could before they had to actually land due to the fact that they'd been in the air so long. So.
What have we heard for cause? I've heard a couple of different things. I heard transit burning trash, and I heard power line.
I've not heard any confirmation. I think it's still being investigated.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, let's move on to item number 5 then. Oh, this is a time set aside for citizen input, and our room is pretty vacant. Do we have anyone online that would like to comment? And I see nothing, so let's go ahead and move on to item number 6.
Madam Chair, I move adoption of today's agenda as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion adopted. Moving on to item number 7.
Madam Chair, I move for approval of the June 6th and June 20th, 2023 regular minutes and the June 12th, 2023 briefing minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the June 6th and June 20th, 2023 regular meeting minutes. My goodness, and it begins. And June 12th, 2023 briefing minutes. Call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, let's move on to approval of our action agenda. Commissioner will read through each item. Items can be removed for a separate discussion or vote. Commissioner Netherland, you could take items 8.1 through 8.4. Commissioner Schutte, 8.5 through 8.9.
Okay. Madam Chair, item number 8.1 reads approval of warrants and treasurer's electronic remittance. Claims Clearing Fund, warrants number 8097047 through 8097137, the amount $1,322,998.46. Direct Deposit Fund, warrants number 97605 through 98011, the amount $853,981.38. Salary Clearing Fund, warrants number 7007445 through 7007470, the amount $567,636.34. The Treasurer's electronic remittance was $2,830,125.98. Item number 8.2, approval for the chair to sign the agreement for the 2023 through 2025 biennium contract number K2420 between the Washington State Conservation Commission and Mason County for Voluntary Stewardship Program, the VSP, implementation and approval for the county administrator to sign amendment number 3 to Mason County Contract 19-053 interlocal agreement between Mason County and Mason County Conservation District to perform the work under contract. Item number 8.3, approval of the Auditor's Office budget amendment to move $52,250 from elections cash and improvement to elections machinery and equipment to purchase a vote by mail envelope sorting machine for a total amount of $200,750. Item number 8.4, approval of the resolution for a sole source purchase of a Kenwood multi-site VoIP mini console in the amount of $28,659.50.
Item 8.5, approval of the memorandum of understanding between the Mason County Sheriff's Office and Woodworkers Local Lodge W38 IAM Corrections Support Staff to extend the temporary promotion of Correction Support Officer Brad McQuaid to Alternative Sentencing Unit, coordinator from July 1st, 2023 to July 1st, 2024. Item 8.6, approval to reappoint Kevin Frankenberger as a regular member of the Mason County Board of Equalization for the remainder of the 3-year term, which will expire May 31st, 2026. Item 8.7, approval to appoint Terry Arcieri as an alternate member to the Mason County Board of Equalization to fill an unexpired term, which will expire May 31st, 2026. Item 8.8, approval of the regional agreement of the Cascade Pacific Action Alliance region participating local governments relating to opioid fund allocation based on the 9 Washington State Accountable Community of Health regions. And item 8.9, approval of the following county road closures. Cloqualum Road from milepost 4.595 to milepost 12.781 on Monday, August 7th, 2023 to Friday, August 11th, 2023 to complete the Rock Creek Bridge Repair Project. And North Shore Road from milepost 3.595 to milepost 14.191 on Monday, September 25th, 2023 to Friday, September 29th, 2023 to complete the Little Shoefly Culvert Replacement Project at milepost 8.180.
Great, thank you. All right, commissioners, having read through each item, are there any items you would like to have removed for separate discussion or vote?
No, Commissioner.
Is there anyone else that would like to have any items removed for special, or for discussion or vote? All right. Hearing none, or seeing none,
Madam Chair, I move for approval of the action agenda as presented.
Second?
all right. Thank you. Do we have any further discussion? All right. I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Do we have any department heads or elected officials that would like to talk to the commissioner or say anything?
One thing I'd like to add is that as far as the county declaring an emergency, we're coordinating that with the state right now. So we're waiting for the state to kind of give us the blessing to, so it's interesting in terms of emergency response. So fire mobilization is kind of their own independent resource that's utilized, as well as kind of separate from other emergencies that occur. So since when it goes beyond the resources that firefighters need to handle an emergency, then we usually set up our own emergency declaration. So if I receive word from the state that they would like us to set up an emergency declaration, then I will be asking the commissioners to do so.
That would also include, though, if they needed any of our equipment or anything outside of their normal, we would want to declare that.
Absolutely.
Because the partnerships can't do it without that, so,
Correct.
you know, I have no problem if they want to call us in to do it, or if you wanted to put it on even for later today, if it's just a good, wise move to have, so they can access our equipment, backhoes and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thank you. All right, we do not have any public hearings scheduled at this time. So let's move on to item number 11, board calendars and reports. Commissioner Schutte, if you'd go first, Commissioner Netherland, and then I'll follow.
Great, thank you. Just before I dive into the calendar, just a word of thanks to everybody who stepped up yesterday. You know, these events don't look at the calendar and say it's a holiday, and so we're not going to have any fires or any kind of emergencies. And so, just a real hats off to our first responders throughout the county, and also thank you to everybody that I've heard from over the past 24 hours since the incident began. I mean, everybody from Congressman Kilmer to the YMCA to the school district, Joe Avalos and Mark Friedman from the Thurston Mason BHASO, Steve Gilmore from Public Services, just all of these organizations that work closely with members in our community, saying we're ready to step up if need be. And so I think that's, you know, these are all hands type events, and our community is certainly resilient and strong, and I think we're strong because of those partnerships. So I really hope today the weather cooperates. It's going to be another hot and dry day, but I hope the weather cooperates and that we get more progress on the fire. And so we'll stand ready to do whatever we can, and in most cases in these events, that's getting out of everybody's way and letting them do what they're trained to do, and so we'll continue to wait for updates. Going forward, we have briefings after today's meeting. Also, later on this week, have a meeting with the Conservation District to talk about the Skokomish Valley projects, and then have a Transforming Our Communities event debrief with UW. Looking ahead to next week, briefings, Mason Crisis Services System of Care Work Group. Have a meeting with Olympic College, have a meeting with MACECOM's board, as well as KEDA, Criminal Justice Working Team, Mason County Opioid Stakeholders Group meeting, and IT Steering Committee. And then some constituent meetings, as well as back for briefings on Monday the 17th with my BHASO staff check-in ahead of our next regular meeting on the 18th.
Okay, briefings, Mason Transit Authority, North Mason Chamber of Commerce meeting, Mason County Housing Authority meeting, Beards Cove HOA. Again, thank you to our staff who put that together. They were wonderful. The community definitely appreciates them, and they worked very well to inform the community of Beards Cove what was happening there. I went also to the North Mason Fire Station with Kelly. We looked over a few more things. Washington State Risk Pool. We're going over the different ways to assess risk for perhaps a different way of looking at how to do charges. I hope we keep it simple. The more difficult we make it, the more chance there is people are going to leave. I attended a candidates forum here in Shelton, the Rotary installation. I met with a Shelton council member for breakfast. I was the keynote speaker at the Kitsap Alliance of Property Owners. The next one coming up is a HOA meeting with staff again in Russellwood. I have a law enforcement firefighter meeting coming up, planning team meeting, Olympic Regional Clean Air Authority meeting, the memorial for Richard White, grand opening of Veteran Village, and an Olympic Regional Clean Air Authority finance meeting. And I think that brings us back to other briefings, and we'll do it all over again.
Thank you. So later today, after our meetings, I will be heading to Vancouver for my public works board meetings. That'll be through Friday evening. I want to remind everybody that the Bluegrass Festival is going on this weekend at the soccer fields up by MCRA. And so we are helping serve Zin's famous food on Friday night, so I'm pretty excited about that one. Probably do some taste testing. Candidates in the Park, hosted by the Mason County Republican Women on Saturday. Again, Bluegrass Festival through Sunday. We have our briefing on Monday, Wasac Virtual Assembly, Turning Point meetings, local emergency planning meeting, another Turning Point meeting, business after hours at Peninsula Credit Union. Let's see, it's the EDC board retreat, I think, is Thursday the 13th. I'll confirm that one. Public Works Board Executive Committee meeting, Pack Mountain Budget Adoption meeting. TIPCAP is having their special meeting at the Shelton Civic Center on Thursday the 13th. I believe it's beginning at 5. So invite the public to go to that as well. Public Works Board traditional meeting. And I feel like there's something else going on too. You said, oh, the grand opening for and that's on the 18th after our meeting, yeah, for the Shelton's Veterans Village. So that's on the 18th. And that brings us back to today.
Madam Chair, I will probably there's a good chance I will see you at the TIPCAP meeting, at the Bluegrass Festival, and candidates in the park as well.
All right, sounds good.
Same, just to be.
Ditto? Yeah. Okay. All right, do we have anything else?
Madam Chair, move we adjourn.
I'll second.
We're adjourned. All right, looks like we have everyone. So let's go ahead, and I believe we have Chief Hanson on here as well.
Yeah, I'm here.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. All right, well, go ahead.
Well, this is more I don't know why I'm on this honestly, but I think Todd's the one that put together this packet and Mark I think's been involved in it. And of course I've been involved in it because of the jail cameras, but um so I don't know. The packet's proposal from the camera people that do our maintenance and service, and basically they've told us that the cameras are no longer serviceable and they're outdated and there's no parts for them anymore. And so the whole camera system, jail security camera system, needs to be upgraded. um and and then there's a bunch of places in the jail that don't have cameras that we thought would be beneficial to have cameras. And so there's another bid for the additional cameras too. So, oh, there's Todd right there, right there. He's on. So, Todd, Mark, what do you guys have to say about it?
From a technical standpoint, we had a failure a couple months ago of one of the DVRs in there. That took out 16 cameras. We were able to get it back up and running, let our vendor know. They replaced the device with a device they had on the shelf for backup. When they went to replace their backup device, that's when they learned that it's no longer available. So at this point, we have no safety net. And if we lose another device, it's down.
Which would be very, very bad.
Yeah.
That would be bad.
Although it's a lot of money, I don't see where there is an option and to include the additional cameras. The reason why I say that is I have a feeling, and I'll ask you, Chief, you're asking for these because it puts them in a position to better take care of and watch our inmates and also our corrections officers to make sure that they're in a safe position that can get backup.
Yes, for sure. There's been so many times we've had situations that have developed, like in the hallways around the control room where there is no camera. And we go back to, look at a fight or look at, we think an inmate has something on him and there's just no way to go back and look because there's no camera in those areas. So that's why we've asked for the additional cameras, is to provide better coverage.
All right, commissioners, any questions, comments?
Where would we take the money out of?
Jen?
Question of the day.
Well, I have no problem taking it out of general fund, but if we also could take it out of REIT or any other ones, I'd like to hear.
So this would be eligible for REIT, but I believe that all the REIT funding has been spoken for at this time. So.
And she's froze.
She froze.
I agree with her. I thought it was already spoken for too. So I'm supportive of taking it out of general fund, ending fund balance.
Same with me. I'm good to move forward.
Yep, as am I. I think we need to upgrade and get the new system while we can.
Yep.
For sure. Thanks, commissioners. We really appreciate your support.
Yep. And thank you also to you and IT.
So just to kind of talk a little bit about why this is brought before the commission today. It's because we were adding those additional new locations to it. And so I just wanted to make sure that the commissioners were aware that this just wasn't a replacement of the existing system. This was adding an additional 19 new cameras. And so it sounds like we're all good with that. And it's going to be, close to $300,000 probably. I did talk with TJ about utilizing this company, and we kind of have to utilize this sole source contract. And it's because the integration, so the cameras and those things that are there are things that we could purchase off the shelf potentially, but the integration with the command or control center within the jail, that's the proprietary part that needs to go through them. So is that correct, TJ?
That is, yeah, they wrote custom software that integrates the cameras, the doors, as well as the audio controls in the jail, all tied into one unit. So they're the experts in it.
Jennifer, did we miss anything?
Well, I was just going to say there could possibly be some ARPA money left over that we could pay for this with.
So maybe you can take a look and then come back with, or, or just talk to us to let us know. I mean, I think either way, I think we're all in agreement that this is something that we need to do and figure out how to pay for it.
Yeah, we're actually preparing an ARPA update for Monday's briefing right now. So we can talk about that along with, I mean, we've had several different project ideas for remaining ARPA funds or ARPA funds that are turned back. So so it's just one possibility we can look at for funding.
Sounds good.
So I say we go ahead, and it sounds like we've received approval from the board to move forward. So let's go ahead and move forward with it. And then specific funding identification, we can wrap that up. Jen, if you want to keep this on your list of items to kind of wrap up, let's keep that on that list. So if it's possible to use other sources, then we can, but knowing that it's something that we definitely want to move forward with now.
Okay, so use general fund if ARPA doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay, because we could always do a reversal out of the general fund. We could pay for it out of there. If the ARPA is approved, we can transfer it over to ARPA.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Mark or Todd, I assume one of you guys will be signing the contract with the vendor.
I would assume probably Mark, you want to sign. I have a copy of the contract I can get you.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, thanks you guys.
Yep.
Thanks, Chief. All right. Well, let's move on to support services, Mark.
Great, thank you. I'm going to turn it back over to Jen to talk about 2024 IT rates.
Yeah, so we have the 2024 revised IT rates. We had presented these back in June at 1.23 million for 2024. And since then, the IT steering committee met and proposed moving Munis to the cloud for storage instead of on our own servers. And that's an annual cost of approximately $50,000, maybe a little bit less. And TJ can talk about the benefits of doing that. And then there's also switches that we need to replace. And I believe the life cycle for those is ultimately going to be 6 years. But TJ wanted to jumpstart that replacement because they're so old right now to do 3-year replacements at first. And so that's an annual cost of about $20,000. So we are proposing increasing the IT rates to 1.3 million instead of 1.23 million for 2024.
No, Commissioner, you're muted.
He doesn't have to explain it to me. I'm comfortable with it completely. And as for the rates, the way we handle our budget, it will just be a maintenance increase anyway. So it's not going to have an overall effect unless all of a sudden we do something completely different and decide not to give people maintenance. This isn't going to have an effect on any of them. So I'm comfortable.
Commissioner Schutte?
I'm comfortable too.
Well, he is on the committee.
I had to remember if I was comfortable then.
Yeah.
You were.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jen. So next I've got Mary to give the commissioners an update on her progress of her strategic plan in HR.
Morning.
Morning.
So I just wanted to, I had committed to quarterly coming in front of the commissioners and giving an update on HR's strategic plan. So this will be our second quarter update. And just a reminder that HR's mission is to develop and manage people first human resources, policies, programs, and provide expert consultation services and solutions in an efficient and customer focused manner, and to provide our employees and volunteers with what they need to provide services to the public. And our strategic plan is what's helping drive us forward so that we can measure progress to meet our organizational goals. So in your packet, we had broken down our strategic plan into some separate areas, and in light of time, I'll just focus on our second quarter update. We've been able to get 2 more contracts done. Our FSA program was completed and implemented June 1st of 2023. Open enrollment for the entire year of 24 will be in the fall when we do all our other medical open enrollment time. Hoping a bunch of people take advantage of that. For recruitment and hiring, we got NeoGov up and running, fully implemented. Very excited about that. We've seen some anecdotal evidence of an increased talent pool and the quality of applicants. Once this program's been up and running for a few months, I'll be able to have concrete statistical data to show about where we're at, time to hire by department, what's our demographic looking like as we move people through, that kind of thing. There's just not enough there yet, but so far hearing really good things. We've been to 3 recruiting events. We're going to be at Allen Days on July 15th, so come see us. We have a booth set up. We'll be doing some recruiting that day. Our LinkedIn followers are up to 271. We have 3,900 Facebook followers. We started our Instagram account. We've got 75 followers so far. And the really big one I wanted to talk about was our internship program in Public Works. So we had 3 interns start. They'll be with us through August up at Public Works. They're going to be rotating through some different areas with a focus on engineering. Really excited to pilot this type of program and tap into a new talent pool. Hopefully people will want to be wanting to stay or be with the county after this type of experience and education. We're also working on not only some on-the-job training, but they're also getting professional development through human resources. So we'll be spending time with them on Mondays. We'll be doing some legal and effective how to interview well, how to write a resume. We will be getting them hopefully Flighter certified, CPR first aid certified. So they'll be walking out of here with some tangible tools and resources. So there's a return on investment for the intern as well as the county. Pretty excited about that. And I've had other departments reach out and say, we're watching, we want to see how this goes. We might want to do an internship program. So I think that's a really good talent pipeline for us to focus on. Removed the technology barrier for the application process, so we don't have to print, sign, scan. That's really good using NeoGov. For learning and development, we had a supervisor boot camp on May 16th. Class was completely full. Verbal SWAT on May 17th was also full. Really good training that is brought to us by the risk pool and helping mitigate our risk appetite when it comes to supervisory issues, grievances, employee performance, all of those things. We're really excited about the possibility of moving more of our HR functions into Munis. We went to a position control training, which is again based on the chart of accounts, which we're pretty excited about. Once position control is done and the chart of accounts is done, we can start utilizing way more functionality in Munis when it comes to HR. So we're really excited about that, gearing up and getting retrained on everything. It's been a couple of years so that we're ready. We conducted our second employee town hall on May 31st. Commissioner Trask hosted that for us. Thank you very much. Commissioner Netherland, I think you're next. So we'll have to get you scheduled for third quarter.
Unless one of the other commissioners would happily like to do it, I have no problem with keeping my face off.
I think you're next, though. They already went.
Yeah, but do they like it? They like it.
Yeah, you don't have a choice, Commissioner Netherland. It's your turn.
I think they had fun. Let's see. HR employees have really been getting out in the field and going out and seeing what it is our employees do. I think it gives us a really good perspective on the demographics of not only the people that are in these positions, but the positions in the work themselves. It helps us be more employee focused, gives us a better perspective at the table when we're bargaining, when we're going through any other employee development or performance management processes. So we've been out with the roads crew, transfer station, been at the jail. I think we've got another roads crew one planned. So trying to get out and be more in the field. I have a request into the treasurer's office to see if I can go spend some time up there. I did time in elections. So I think it's been really good, and just getting some face time with employees, and it's very interesting, all the work that we do in Mason County. I love it. And then we've had I only did one update to personnel policies in the second quarter, believe it or not. I know, but narrowing it down a little bit so you don't have to read 400 pages every other week. So that's kind of just a snapshot of where we're at as a department and our strategic plans. Any questions, comments, or concerns about where we're at?
Just a comment. Great job.
Yeah, I just had a quick comment too, and I'm really excited about the intern program. I think there is room to continue to grow that, and it's great to hear that we were actually able to get a couple of interns for the summer. So I think really the sky's the limit for it, and hopefully it's a success and other offices want to participate. I think it'd be great if we found some clerical interns for our office and things like that too. I think we can be a leader in that for the county.
Yep, thank you for everything you're doing there, Mary. You're doing an incredible job. So just know that you're very much appreciated.
Thank you. All my team's awesome. I think I have the best department in the county. All
Good.
right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, Mary. So next item on our list is our North Mason Fire Authority lease. So long time coming. Sorry it took so long, but I feel like we've come to an agreement. The only thing that I potentially would like to change, and I'd like to talk to the board about that, is currently with the proposal was a 10-year lease, but I believe that they would actually be interested in going as high as a 20-year lease. So if you guys would be comfortable with me negotiating that with Bo and his commissioners, then we definitely would move forward on that. We've made a lot of progress on how we're going to transition our North Mason Sheriff's Office into that building, and Kelly and his team have met with the Sheriff's Office as well as Commissioner Netherland, and feel like we have a good plan to move forward. So everybody's happy and willing to accept the proposals that are out there, and it's a good solution. So love to see us be able to move forward on that, and what this would do is give me the approval to go ahead and enter into this lease with the North Mason Fire Authority.
Mark, for the other commissioners, I was the one that asked for the 20-year when we were walking away, and he said yes. I just read it though, just so you know, if it does become a problem because they have to go back to their commission to do all that, there is a 5-year extension already built into this one. So a happy medium. So I'd like to see it done sooner rather than later, but if it's not an issue, I'd rather do a 20 personally, but if it is an issue, I'm comfortable with the 10 and 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yep, so would I.
Great, thank you. All right. Mackenzie, were you going to present the Timberland Regional Library Board of Trustees, or is that something you'd like me to do?
It's up to you. I can or you can.
Go for it.
So previously the commission asked for a little bit more information regarding the composition of the Timberland Regional Library Board of Trustees. So I did reach out to staff over there, and they gave me a little bit more information. I did provide the bylaws in the packet. The bylaws were just revised June 21st, so I will send the updated bylaws to you. I also asked them about the 2 at-large positions that have typically been filled by appointments from Lewis and Thurston County. Staff over there looked back through history, and there's no set information on why. That's just how it's been.
Yeah, I was looking at that. Traditionally, that's not in the bylaws, but it's in the bylaws. That makes no sense.
Yeah, I believe that verbiage traditionally is in the bylaws.
Yes, it is. That's what I meant. It's in the bylaws, but you don't put verbiage that traditionally have been filled by appointment in the bylaws. That's that's not saying that they are, that's saying that traditionally they did. There's a bylaw is what will, shall, and must happen. So I'd like for us to request at least appointment from all of the counties or something.
Maybe have 3 member at large positions. 1 from each county.
I'm good with that too. But
Yes.
for that, you would definitely have to change the bylaws to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But how these are appointed, that's not an actual rule. That's just a statement. So they don't have the authority. They don't have there is nothing written that gives them that power. Commissioner Schutte challenged this or asked this question a little bit ago, and I'm just backing up after what I see. It was right to have been questioned or challenged because that's not an automatic assumption they get to do it because it's in the bylaws that traditionally it has. So therefore, it should follow the regular appointment.
Would you like me to reach out to TRL and see if they can expand that to where the members at large can be from any county, or are you wanting to have 3 additional member at large positions for each?
I prefer 3 additional at large. This was recommended by Commissioner Trask, but
Okay.
I'm comfortable with the other 2. So I'm curious what Commissioner Schutte's thinking though.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a weird way to go about things on their part. I mean, if you're going to say it's traditionally held by those 2 counties, then just be clear and say that those 2 counties get 2 seats. Don't call them at large because it's not. That's not a. I don't think that's an accurate presentation of those board seats. So yeah, I mean, I'd be open to expanding that. To open it up so that there's the additional at-large seats. I mean, I guess at that point that board gets pretty unwieldy, I would imagine. So, there has to be a way to either truly make these at-large positions so that the other 3 counties have an opportunity to place individuals in those seats, whether that's on a rotation or something along those lines. But I just, in its current form, I'm not comfortable with how that's being executed.
And I think it is the execution of it, Commissioner, because this is not an applicable bylaw statement. So therefore, we should have been voting on it the whole time.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, I can't remember if they had brought forward the at-large positions and then we just had to confirm them, or how that happened. I don't remember, but I do think that we need more representation or equal representation, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I could see if it was based on, if there are other metrics, if it was based on population or how many branches, were, of TRL were in your county, or some other, some other way to kind of determine what the representation is on that board. But, I mean, I would imagine that if we had a conversation with Pacific and Grace Harbor counties, that they might feel the same way in terms of, having, being part of a group with unequal representation. It makes sense to have Thurston with 2 seats on there because they're the by far largest county on the board. So I certainly don't have an issue with that, but I think, when you look at the breakdown, to just historically go by, well, we give this at-large position to Lewis doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I don't understand why, if there was they could have moved the current at-large member from Lewis County into the full-term seat, and then had a discussion about how to approach the at-large positions. But it appears that they're going to allow that seat to hold and then appoint to the Lewis County specific seat. So I think there needs to be a little bit more discussion and evaluation of this.
Well, and I want to point out that it's actually in the bylaws how it's to be handled, with some added verbiage, which is not appropriate. A board of 7 trustees shall be appointed by a joint action of the Board of County Commissioners of Grace Harbor, Lewis, Mason, Pacific, and Thurston counties. That's the rule. 2 at-large positions traditionally have been filled by appointment. So now there's 5 counties and they're talking about 7. So the 7 trustees shall be appointed by joint action of the Board of County Commissioners. That's the shall. So it should never have been an appointment process by the other. Because that's just a comment. Have traditionally been filled. That's a comment. That's not a bylaw regulation rule. Anything.
Mark, you're going to say something?
I just was thinking that that, and I believe it's what Commissioner Netherland just said, so I just wanted to confirm, is that the 2 additional at-large positions are the only 2. Those it's like Lewis and Thurston get another swing at the plate, right? So that's how I read that to be. So we actually, by joint approval, we each get to represent, have a representative from each one of our counties there. And then 2 at-large positions, in addition to the 5, would be appointed by Thurston and Lewis.
No, but what the actual bylaw says is not that. The bylaws strictly say a board of 7 trustees shall be appointed by a joint action of the Board of County Commissioners of Grays, Lewis, Mason, Pacific, and Thurston. The other one is just a statement that the 2 at-large members have traditionally. That's not a rule. That's a comment. So each time the 2 at-large should have been voted on by all of us that are in there now, according to the bylaws that they're operating under. So if they didn't do that, they were in error for not doing it. Just because somebody said that somewhere doesn't, and you included it in there as verbiage, does not mean that it's the rule. The rule is simple. A board of 7 trustees shall be appointed by the joint action of the boards of county commissioners.
Yep. We can definitely provide that feedback back to Timberland Regional Library and get their comments.
And I think it's more than feedback and more for comment. That is the rule. We can talk with our attorneys, but that it's going to hold up. That's the rule.
Yep.
And why did they do it opposite of that? Because it had been historically one. Okay, that's the argument. But the rule says you vote, that we vote, and we must vote on them.
I believe that the 2 member-at-large positions did come before us in the same process that all of them go through. I can definitely double check our agendas, but I do believe that both the member-at-large positions followed the same process as the other 5 positions.
And then, unless it says something different, then we can put somebody up from ours for the at-large when they're open.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's more my point is, how are we, when are we notified about the at-large positions and how's that process work? Because I don't all the time where we've had a chance to nominate someone for the at-large position. And we've done a couple of appointments to this board during my tenure. So I think that's my only concern. It's I trust that we've been approving or concurring on these appointments throughout. But my issue is, the having a more equal representation, or equal shot at soliciting representation from Mason County to participate on the board.
Okay, I'll reach back out to them. How would you like to proceed with the appointment of Brian Mickey?
Is that for the vacant position for Lewis?
Yeah, is that for their vacant or is that at large?
That's for the vacant position for Lewis County.
Yeah, I have no issue concurring with that appointment.
Right, nor do I.
Okay.
And the same here. But before we move forward, commissioners, in reading the bylaws, I want to point something out. There was an RCW under Section 4 removal, RCW 27.2.190. A trustee may be removed for just cause by the joint action of the boards of county commissioners of Grace Harbor, Lewis, Mason, Pacific, and Thurston counties after county commissioners have received a written complaint regarding the trustee. A public hearing will be scheduled. The trustee must be notified at least 15 days. We received one a while back, 2 years ago, and it was sent to everybody, but there was never a hearing conducted. I just wanted to point that out. If you remember 2 years ago, we had that come before us and it was sent. But we didn't know that a hearing was required. And this is required by law, surprisingly. This is not their bylaws. This is per RCW 27.2.190. So they did not follow the law unless it was presented in a way that was different than what it was appeared to have been presented to us. But I think it was sent to all of them at the time. I'm pretty sure it was, if I remember the CC from the emails and stuff.
Gosh, I don't even remember that one, but
what's her name?
Cheryl?
Who?
Cheryl?
Yes. No, Brenda.
Oh, Brenda.
oh,
So I just wanted to point that out, that there should have been a process according to this bylaw, which I'd never seen before. So I think it's late now, but they need to make sure that they follow the law. The RCW is not to be considered. It is to be followed.
so do we approve their bylaws? Do they come before us for review and then approval?
I do not believe so. I believe it
don't-
only goes through their board.
Yeah, I don't see a signature.
So I guess guidance is reach out to them regarding the at-large positions and to let them know that we concur on the appointment.
Okay.
So at the very end, it does list the dates that it was approved by the Timberland Regional Library Board of Trustees.
Yeah, I don't have that on mine, but
So last one was April 26, 2023 was the last revision. I just don't know what changes occurred.
and we need to find out though whether that's an allowed duty. Where did they get the authority to change the bylaws? So, because it would make sense that if we are the sanctioning bodies, that it would come to us.
All right, so moving forward again, just do a little bit more research, maybe give us some more answers at our next briefing, and then we'll go from there.
Great.
All right. I'll
Thank
do
you.
my best.
All right, thanks, Mackenzie.
Thank you.
All right, so go ahead and turn it over to community development now, Kell.
And I don't believe we have any commissioner calendar updates because we just did that, so we should be good to go.
Oh, I apologize.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, got a couple items. First one is some code changes. So Public Works, as you may or may not know, I think you guys probably do, that they're updating road standards countywide. And so that impacted some of our Title 16 and Title 17. And so we made amendments to those to coordinate. Basically, we're kind of stripping the road standards, any road standards we've had in Title 17 and 16, and saying, look to the county road standards, which will be put in Title 12. And then in addition to that, we did a few housekeeping items within Title 16 and 17 as well. So for the road standards, again, it's a lot of deletions with some just quick references to the new Title 12. And I'm just scrolling slowly here because if I go too fast, it won't show up on my screen. But if anybody has any questions regarding trying to get to the non-road standard pieces, the housekeeping items. Okay. So for the housekeeping items, we've made some changes to cottage industries. So cottage industries are small businesses that are run out of someone's residence. And so we do allow a variety of things within a residence. You have to meet certain criteria. If you go above the criteria, you could get a special use permit, go through the public hearing process. Perhaps, you're drawing additional traffic or things like that. But then we have a list of things that are prohibited. So under no circumstance can you have an airport in your backyard, or an automobile sales, or a variety of other things. And so we've included campgrounds as a specifically prohibited, as well as recreational storage. So like storage of RVs and boats. So those are things that tend to come up on people's residence, and they want to run those things as a cottage industry, and we don't think that's appropriate. So we've added it to the prohibited list. And if they are still folks interested in doing those things, they can seek a rezone for a more appropriate way to go about running that type of business. And of course, rezones go through the planning commission and then the board.
Yeah, this doesn't affect any actual zoning except for the cottage industry. You can still have this and this and mixed use of this and this in commercial, but just not cottage industry, which is
the residential zones. Yeah. Yep. And then in rural commercial 2, that's a zone that we allow self-storage. So self-storage units are allowed with a special use permit in that zone. But in the building regulations within that, it talks about the maximum size of a building, and it's really pretty restrictive if you are going to have a self-storage units. The restriction is pretty small. So we've just went ahead and said, hey, if you're going to do the special use permit for a self-storage, the size limitation will be addressed within that process rather than putting a hard cap on the size of building. So that's just kind of cleaning up because it was a little bit conflicting there. And then for rural commercial 3, in addition to self-storage being allowed with a special use permit, we went ahead and allowed recreational storage. That is same as the self-storage, it's, but typically the recreational storage of RV or boat can be covered or uncovered, but it's not within the 4-sided structure. And we often get inquiries regarding that. And then lastly, in the marijuana section, we clarified some language that regarding indoor producers in rural residential 2.5 and rural residential 5 zones. They are required to get a special use permit, and they have to be on at least 5 acres or larger. And then if you're in the rural residential 10 and 20, you don't need the special use permit. You still have to be indoor. But anyway, there was some conflicting language, and we cleaned that up based on the intent from previous when these regulations went into place. And, sorry, I forgot, there were some Title 16 housekeeping items as well. Really simple ones, just updating kind of the procedures. And then in section 16.40.041, we added a section under the boundary line adjustments that unless you already have a legal non-conforming lot size, otherwise you cannot create a lot that's less than 2 acres in size, or really according to the zoning, which in residential zones, it's typically no less than 2 acres. But if you're in a residential zone and you already have a parcel that's less than the 2 acre minimum, we consider that legally non-conforming lot size. We'll still allow you to do a boundary line adjustment. You just can't make it any more non-conforming. And that's already listed out in the procedures under Title 17. But this, without saying unless already legally non-conforming, it bounds us to not be able to do boundary line adjustments for lots under 2 acres. So we're just cleaning that language up. And that's it. If there's any questions, otherwise I will. Oh, and all of this briefing, of course, is to put it on the action agenda, to set a public hearing. I can't remember my dates, but to set the public hearing for the board to consider these amendments. I believe in August.
So on the non-conforming, that's the way it's kind of always been. But let me see if I understand. Does it change anything with this? Let's just say somebody has it's an R5 and somebody has a 4 acre parcel. They also own a 3 acre parcel and 1 acre parcel. All of them are non-conforming, but they want to add on to the 3 acre parcel. Currently they are allowed to do that because they are non-conforming already, and it doesn't change it. If it was 5.25 acres, it could not go below 5.
So this is a little bit odd, or not odd, just not intuitive. So in the rural residential 5 zone, the density is 1 unit per 5 acres. But if you have a 10 acre lot and you want to subdivide it, you can do that into 2 lots, with one being as no smaller than 2 acres. So you could do a 2 acre and an 8 acre. And then of course, in the future, say 10 years goes by, you have an 8 acre, you could no longer subdivide that. So you wouldn't get in a situation where you thought, oh, I just want a 5 acre and then this 3 acre. You can't do that. You'd need the 10. So you can have a 2 or an 8 or any kind of, variation in between 3 and 7, of course.
But could you go back and change the 2 to 3 out of the 8? That's what's allowed now.
Yeah. Yes. So the situation that we're fixing on by adding that language is we've always allowed boundary line adjustments between lots, and even if they're smaller than that 2 acre minimum, but you can't make it any smaller than. So let's say you have a 1.5 acre and a 1 acre, and you're doing a boundary line adjustment. You can't make one larger and one smaller. They're both already legal non-conforming for that 2 acre minimum. So you still have to result in the same size parcels. It could just be reconfigured. However, we've recently been called out that because that code section states that you cannot do a boundary line adjustment for lots. How is it worded? Boundary line adjustments in residentially zoned property must meet the requirements of minimum and maximum lot sizes as set forth in Title 17. So if you go to Title 17, it will say your RR5 minimum lot size is 2 acres. So someone's called us out that you can't do a boundary line adjustment for lots under 2 acres. And that is not our intent. And we have the authority to do so under state law. And so we're just adding this language in, unless already legally non-conforming. Because we've historically always done boundary line adjustments to lots that are less than 2 acres. We just can't make them more non-conforming. Does that make sense?
Yeah, except for it does make it, and historically it was allowed. For example, you'd have that 4 acre parcel. You have the 2 acre parcel. If you made that one 2.5, that brings the other one down to 3.5. But
that's not non-conforming, because the zone allows you to have as minimum of 2 acres. So the 3 acre is a legal conforming lot size. It can't be subdivided any further, but it's, as far as lot sizes go, it's conforming to the zone. As opposed to a 1 acre site, that's less than the 2 acre minimum. So that's considered legal non-conforming lot size. And we have historically processed boundary line adjustments for lots like that. But we just have recently been challenged that this particular code section would not allow us to do that. And
Well, we
we're
should fix that
clarifying.
then, because we've historically been doing that. I want to make sure we can still continue to do that.
Well, we do have a challenge in a LUPA appeal. And so there's a hearing scheduled for, it gets more complicated because it's something that could have been done through a parcel combination. So either way, the particular property owner will end up being able to do what they want to do. But the challenge nonetheless highlighted a piece of code that technically would prevent us from doing a boundary line adjustment for lots less than 2 acres in size in the residentially zoned properties.
Well, and for the commissioners, we have a lot of properties. Well, and Kevin was on the planning commission, so I'm sure he's aware of this. We have a lot of properties that RR5 zone was dropped over the top of half-acre parcels, quarter-acre parcels, and sometimes there's a property line dispute between them, and they need to make a property line adjustment to fix that, or they want to give up their driveway so they don't have that battle or whatever. I just want to make sure they can still do that, because that's extremely important.
That's exactly why we're adding in unless already legally non-conforming, because we want to continue to be able to do those boundary line adjustments like we always have. It's just that this particular piece technically would not allow us to. We do have a challenge in Superior Court, and we're just putting this language in to clarify so that someone in the future won't challenge on this particular issue, because like you said, there are
a lot of them.
An enormous number of lots that are under the 2 acre size in the RR5 zone. So, around every water body in the county for the most part.
Thank you, Cal.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was it.
Looks good to me. So you'll let us know when the hearing will be scheduled.
Yeah, I had it on my sorry, my pages aren't loading, so I can't really see the packet, and I'm trying to be paperless, so I don't but
you can borrow some of my paper, Kel.
I know Mackenzie's on top of it. So yeah, we'll
August,
put it on.
August
I think
15th.
it's on. Thank you. The hearing for August 15th.
All right, sounds good. So this will be on our next agenda to schedule the hearing.
Yeah. And now Marissa.
Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have 2 items for you. They are related. I'll start with the letter of support from all of you. So we are currently applying to the Washington State Department of Commerce for grant money to work on the 2025 comprehensive plan update. So I'm working on the application, but the other part of the application is a letter of support for the work from the commissioners. And I did submit a letter for you guys to look over. And I'm hoping to get that placed on the July 18th meeting to be signed by you all. If there's any language, though, that you would like me to change, or you have any comments, please let me know.
Looks good to me.
I'm supportive.
I'm as well.
Okay. All right, then I will move on to the next item, which is the RFP that we put out for consultants to work on the comprehensive plan update. We only received one proposal. It sounds like a lot of other counties are kind of having the same thing too happening, where there's only one or no submittals, but we did get one submittal, and that is from SCJ Alliance. Their proposal was in the packet for you to look over. So right now we are hoping that we can get the blessing of the commissioners to go ahead and work on the contract with them. So, and start the negotiations with them. So, but if you have any comments on that or any questions.
Anybody notice the young man who worked with us through all those other projects on the park and ride is not on that paper?
He is not.
You're muted, Commissioner. There you
Sorry, I was going to say I'm good moving forward with SCJ.
are. As am I.
Yep, me too.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anything else for Kell?
Not for me.
Nope, I'm good.
All right, Kell. Thank you. I just sent you a response to your email. If you want to give me a call on Friday afternoon, that would be great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let's move on to Public Works, Loretta.
Just to give the commissioners a quick update, I just got a message from John Taylor that Hillary Franz is going to actually be giving a live update at 11:30 on Como 4 out at McEwen Prairie, and where McEwen Prairie and Mason Lake Road intersect. So
At 11:30.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, commissioners, first up, we have a news release that we would like to share about our annual chip seal and striping projects. And Mike can tell you a little bit more about that.
Well, you're muted.
Mike, you're
Still muted, Mike.
I was doing really good. Mason County Public Works would like to notify motorists that the annual construction chip seal program and the annual restriping projects will be in progress during the months of July and August. And so every year we let people know that we're going to be striping. We have a list on the website for the striping miles and for the chip seal miles. So if anybody wants to visit the site, they can get that. Just be patient with us and quit driving in the paint is what I recommend.
Yes, please.
That's about it.
That is about it. Thank you, Mike.
Right.
All right, next up, commissioners, we have an action item requesting that you authorize the director, me, to execute the latecomers agreement between the county and Harbor Custom Development Incorporated. And this is to collect fees to reimburse Harbor for their construction of the Belfair Sewer trunk line.
How much is the fee? That's what I'm.
So the fee, and that'll come in the next agreement, Commissioner. This is simply saying that we are agreeing to collect reimbursement, and the fee itself will be just under $500, around $470 some dollars.
Okay, but they didn't include. I wish they'd included it in the latecomer agreement, but.
Yeah, there will be an amendment that shows what the actual fee is for reimbursement. And then we will have a calculation of our updated CFC as well. And
the issue I have is why it doesn't make any sense for us to sign something that we know we're going to be amending, and to sign something that that allows us to collect the fee without knowing what the fee is in what our agreement is.
Well, that's the latecomer process that's laid out under statute, that you enter into the agreement, you say that we're agreeable to collecting this latecomer fee, and then it is amended to collect the actual amount.
Okay, if you say it's required, but a lot of things in government make no sense.
I know. I would like to do a 1-2 and just get it done. And I'm sure Harbor would as well.
All right, sounds good to me.
We'll follow the law.
They've been good partners.
They have, absolutely. Yeah, and making great headway up there on the project. So lots of activity, as you know. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Next up, a couple of discussion items. If I can get back to my agenda here. We have an upcoming, so CRAB has been scheduling a couple of meetings out and about in the various counties. And they are planning to have a meeting up in Bremerton. And I would like to find out if commissioners or Mark, who would like to attend, and so that we can get back a confirmation with the CRAB folks.
What day is that? Thursday the 27th?
Let's see, let me get to that real quick. So yes,
Like
Thursday the
27th.
27th, that's correct. And it starts at 1, oh, excuse me. Thursday and Friday is the following day, but Thursday is the presentation by the county. So Thursday at 1 o'clock.
If nobody else wants to go, I would do it. It's up there close to me, so that's why I was offering my services. I actually go to dinner at Anthony's.
I was gonna say there's dinner at Anthony's.
So I'm used to that one. But if somebody else is dying to do it, I have no problem not.
You know, Commissioner, I would say have fun at this meeting.
All right.
And Loretta, it looks like Mike is going to be given an overview and project some presentations on our projects.
That is correct.
And it starts at 1?
It is, yep, 1 o'clock.
Now you only need me Thursday, you don't need me Friday, or you want me Thursday and Friday?
Friday, I think, is primarily board business. So the executive director's report. So Jane will talk about strategic planning, other activities, legislative priorities, and then the deputy director, Drew Woods, will be providing an engineering division report, wrap up on budget, current budget, and supplemental requests. And it'll be an IT update. And Axel Swanson will be providing a WASES update as well. So optional on that one.
Okay, we'll see how it goes, and if you need me, I'll make myself available. If
All right.
not, we'll find something else to do.
More exciting things. Okay, and then next, Mike has a temporary road closure and culvert removal discussion to share.
So on Beeville Loop Road, that's out by Matlock, at milepost 5.19, there is a corrugated metal pipe that is in a failed situation. It's exceeded design life and it's lost its structural integrity. If you can look at a couple of the photographs, these photographs do not do it justice, let me tell you. It's in worse shape than what it appears. It's also scoured on both ends underneath it about 12 to 15 feet. And so we're really worried that it isn't going to make another winter. And so what we'd like to do is go ahead and just take the culvert out and close this section of the road. This section of the road has about 22 vehicles per day. It's actually a redundant road. There's actually 3 roads into the area. So there's the residents will still have 2 other ways to get in and out. So it's not going to negatively affect them. The immediate property owners is Green Diamond, so they won't be affected by closing this access either. We don't have any funds for this project to replace this. Or look at it, but the Chehalis River Basin Trout Unlimited actually is recently, as in like last week or so, has secured a grant to actually do a study on replacing it, not actually the construction of it, but a study to look at what type of structure it'd have to be. It would have to be a bridge. So it's you know, we're talking about a couple $1 million in actual replacement. So right now we'd like to just go ahead and take it out and close that section of the road and make sure everybody's going to be safe this winter. Any thoughts?
Yeah, whose district is that?
That'd be me.
That's Commissioner Shooties.
I was gonna say, because I don't know it at all. Are you good with closing that down, Kevin?
Yeah, I think given that there's the safety concern as well as having another route out, the low travel, I think we have to prioritize the safety in that situation.
Then I will support.
Yeah, that culvert looks huge. I mean, to see the look like the little tiny figure in front of the culvert.
Wait till you see how big it is going to have to be to replace it.
A little tiny.
That little tiny figure is Jeremy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Right. What's even more amazing is the amount of cover on that squash pipe. And then earlier, Mark was commenting on my art hanging in the window. He says, "What is that?" Well, it's a chunk of this culvert.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Mike's always bringing treasures in from the field.
It takes a long time for metal to weather like that. So it's historic.
It will actually, if you go inside of it right now, it's actually quite a view of what sand and water can do, because it's actually removed the nuts off of some of the bolts. It's just wore it down, and the bottom of the surface down through is so thin that you can just take a pointed hammer and just tap into it, punch holes into it.
Oh,
and,
wow.
Wow.
It's seen its lifetime. So
Mike, did you say how old you think this one is?
we're guessing that they was stuck in the ground probably in the 60s or 50s, maybe even. I mean, being a galvanized metal, a protection around here is not a good thing, because it's really abrasive soil and with the water, and so it just wore it off pretty quickly. But it's impressive the amount of material it's moved.
Try to give those folks as much notice as possible, please.
Yes, absolutely.
Commissioners, and then I apologize, I skipped over the Russellwood Homeowners Association meeting. I know, Commissioner Netherland, you noted that under board calendars and agenda activities. I am not able to attend this meeting, and so I'm proposing setting up another time to talk about the utility rates, but I have a memorial service that I need to attend, that it's at the same time.
Well, they're probably going to want to be talking about that water. I should have shared it with the commission. It happened again out there. The water that is so
dirty.
So maybe you should be there for that. But if they can't just give you a new one, I will attend with him and I'll take that on.
Yeah, and we'll get you an update on that here shortly, Commissioner. We've made some great strides in that arena, and we'll get that to the Homeowners Association as well.
I actually had the opportunity to talk with Richard. I was out at Public Works on Friday, and he had the old plans out for Russellwood, and he was kind of going through them and looking at how the system was set up and how you could isolate each individual tank, and kind of researching opportunities to look at I think we actually chlorinate a bit of that water now.
Well, we haven't. Yes.
It's not mandatory that we do. We just did for safety purposes. But the interesting part of that discussion was, when you chlorinate the water, it takes the liquid iron and magnesium that's currently in liquid form and actually turns it into a solid. And so he feels like there may be quite a bit of sediment at the bottom of our holding tanks he appeared that he was able to isolate those tanks, and so we could isolate one tank, clean out one, and then isolate the other. And the only time that we actually see sediment in the water that actually gets to our customers is when there's a large usage, and so they had filled up a water tank or something that he was assuming might have caused that disruption of that sediment. And so he definitely had a plan for it, and had called some people out to do some testing to verify his theory is correct.
Yeah, and the other thing to add to that, Mark, thank you. That's a perfect capture of that conversation. The other thing to add is that we confirmed, Richard contacted the State Department of Health engineer and confirmed that we do not have mandatory chlorination of the water system. And so our operators have been, we've met with the operators. Richard instructed them to back off on the amount of chlorine. So there's been process changes to the chlorination as well, so that the chlorine residual is much less than what the community has been experiencing. So those are the things that we've got in play right now.
But before we leave that one, commissioners, we've been through this one quite a few times over the years. And the quality of the water that comes out by our mistake, or whatever we're doing, is third world quality water that's looking with a color that they can't even wash their clothes. It's so bad. We've all looked at it before, and we have decided in the past we weren't going to let this happen again, but it keeps happening. At one point, we even talked about drilling a new well, but we thought we had it handled. We can't keep doing this to these people. And if we need to drill that new well, we need to drill a new well, because we can't come back to them in 6 months and say, oh, sorry, it happened again. Oh, sorry, it happened again. At some point, we've passed that. And I think at the point, we had a survey that showed that so many of those people were doing bottled water years ago. And we promised them that we would fix these things, and we haven't. At some point, it just cannot be allowed anymore. We have to consider doing whatever it takes to fix this, and not just keep relying on, well, this will be the issue or that will be the issue. We need to maybe consider fixing it, because I'll share the pictures with Mark, and he can share them with you. These last ones were as bad as any of them years ago. And if it was your water and your family, you would be disgusted. And this is our plant. So I just wanted to hit up on that.
I appreciate that. I'd like to hear, what Richard has planned. I kind of got a snippet of it, but maybe Richard can come and talk to us on Monday and give us a more detailed, better report.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, because I agree. We need to get this fixed so it doesn't happen.
And we want to be mindful about making sure that we are spending those funds in the best possible way for the solution. So it can be very, very costly, and we're grateful for our legislature to help fund those improvements as well. So,
yep, for sure.
Yep. All right. That is about it that I have, commissioners, and you can see the laundry list of upcoming events, which I know you're all aware of. And so that's about it from Public Works. Oh, except Commissioner Schutte has something for us.
I do.
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, two things. First, there was an announcement that came out last week about some expanded federal funding for road projects. I know one is the Rural Service Transportation Grant. The other one is Infrastructure for Rebuilding America. And so just wanted to get your thoughts on what projects we might have on our annual or 6th year that might be eligible for those fund sources to go after the dollars on that. And I know particularly up in Belfair, and as well as some maybe projects that we could do jointly with the city in the UGA, where the incorporated and unincorporated areas meet, and maybe do a joint project or application. So just wanted to kind of put that out there and get some feedback on it as we start looking forward to doing projects.
Yeah, we've taken a quick look at the turnaround time. The application appears, it's deceptively simple. It's a 4-pager, I think, for the most part. But like many of the federal grants, there's lots of fun strings attached. There is an obligation requirement that we must obligate the funds by September 2026, I believe. And that sounds like forever, right? But if you're starting from ground zero and doing your preliminary planning, preliminary engineering, your permitting and NEPA and all those fun things, that can get chewed up fairly quickly. But we need to be mindful of that. And yes, we do have a laundry list of projects, Commissioner Schutte. Some of them fairly big ticket items. We've got a couple of large bridge projects. We've got some things that may be DOT type projects, but are low on their priority list, but high on ours. An example might be, for example, the 300, SR 300 relocation up in Belfair. We've got a variety of DOT state and county intersection improvements that could fit in this. Mike's identified Stretch, Chapman Cove. Let's see what else. We're looking at Tahuya, some very large bridge projects. What am I missing, Mike? You've got a whole laundry list.
I mean, we could go to the big end on Johns Prairie and take that whole road down the hill, realignment, regrade it, replace the state bridge and install a roundabout. I mean, that's all one big, large project. McEwen Prairie can be connected up to and extended to Highway 101. That would help the traffic and connectivity there on this end of Mason Lake. And then on the other end is our old favorite Razor Road that could be extended all the way down to SR3. That's about 2 miles worth of work. That would be brand new road and such. So yeah, we could do that. There's always the old one we've been looking at, the front roads along SR 101, basically from SR 3 down to Camilchi area, and getting local traffic off of there. That's some of the type of the projects that were awarded on this grant last year. So yeah, we have all kinds of those. And the one we've been kicking around here recently is the Coquitlam Road actually having on-ramps down onto 101 would be a big improvement. So we're looking at some of the ones we have on our 6-year plan and some that we've just kind of had out there because we never really had this kind of money to throw at it. So we'll look at a couple others.
Throw out there, Mike, for safety aspect on that Razor Road. Remember that it was the fire department that said it could change the response time from 21 minutes to 7.
Yeah.
And there was quite a few other benefits. One for cleaning up the area and doing away with some of the other issues that we have in this county. That'd be nice to put a little sunlight on.
Yeah.
Not politically correct, but sunlight disaffects and cockroaches hate sunlight. So
that's a fact.
So will this be brought up at the TIPCAP meeting?
Yeah, we'll have a preliminary to bring that up. Now, I don't know if we'll have all of the time to do this, but because I know that Phil is going to be giving his presentation at the TIPCAP meeting next week. So this may have to wait, but we can't wait long because August 21st is coming fast.
Yeah, so if there's a way to kind of, concurrently have, your top few projects for our consideration and get that feedback, I think that'd make sense from a timing perspective. Just kind of take what you know about these programs and kind of, rate your projects with what you think would be successful.
Yeah, we'll talk to Shelton, Jay from Shelton, City of Shelton too, and see what his options would be, and if there's something we can combine too, that'd be great.
Yeah, just it's a good chunk of change out there, and we would like to bring as much of it to Mason County to help you do your work as we can.
Thank you.
Updating our, Loretta and I've talked a little bit about kind of revisiting our SEDS list and making sure that all of these projects are included on that SEDS list. It is kind of the laundry list that we keep, and so making sure that they're documented in there is in our best interest.
Yeah, great idea. And then the other thing that I had was just if you had a quick update on the rate study, just kind of where we're at, if we're still tracking with the timeline that you provided a few weeks ago, and if there were any changes that we should know about.
Yeah, we're tracking, other than I think some additional outreach with the community commissioners. So we obviously need to talk some more detail with our folks there at Russellwood. We did have our Beards Cove meeting. We had a meeting with the folks in Lakeland Village, but we would be well served to set up a broader meeting to capture the rest of the customers outside of Lakeland Village for our North Bay utility. And we need to set up a meeting for the Belfair Sewer utility. So that part's done. And then our rate analysis work, I would say, is largely complete. And Katrina is waiting for some feedback from myself and Richard to better dial in projections on future connections for all of the utilities. And the other item that she's looking for is updated connection fees for all of the utilities. And other than that, she's built the models to fiddle with. So we can have a sense of what things affect the rates in general, where and when we need to look at a change to our rate increases. So yeah, for the most part, I would say that we are on track within about a week or so.
Okay, good deal.
All right, do you have anything else for us?
I just got one next week, the 12th. David Smith and Culver will be speaking at the Kiwanis Club meeting, 7 o'clock in the morning. And the road crews are out at Sunnyside. They're putting in the large culvert out there. And as soon as we get that done, we'll start into our chip seal program. And Sunnyside will be the first road we'll chip seal and take care of that. If you want to look at some other work they've done, they just completed work out on Grapeview Loop, the shoulder paving there, did a really good job. They also did shoulder paving on Lynch Road, down by the boat launch, and they're out there today out at Shelton Matlock, starting right by Highland Road and heading west, doing some shoulder work. So as soon as we get that done, and then one more over on McCreevy Hill, and then we'll be back to chip sealing for the month of July. So,
and Mike, the Kiwanis meeting is to give an update on the Harstein Island Bridge project. Is that correct?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's been quite the project. Pretty exciting. When did they start the actual sealing of the deck, Mike?
That's we're going to find that out today. We
Okay.
haven't today with them at 12:30, but it should be within the next couple of weeks. They'll be starting to put the overlay on the one side of the deck.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then if I may, commissioners, do a quick one more quick screen share. Sorry, screen share.
I was trying to figure out what you were saying.
Oh, wow, something. I know Commissioner Netherland, you had some calls, I believe, last week about traffic impacts that
Yes.
we're thinking had to do with the fish barrier removal project on 106. And I'm simply sharing this for folks that may be interested in just the project schedule and how to receive updates and alerts about the project. So this is if you just wanted to do a quick search of the SR 106 fish barrier project, this will just pop up a link and you can see what their planned schedule is, why they're doing the project. You can click on project timeline, and also there's a link to be able to subscribe to alerts and updates on the project itself. And I know that doesn't necessarily help with the traffic impacts, but it certainly helps you think and plan ahead about what to expect.
Good information to to share with everyone too. And it also has the other projects too. You can type in DOT and find out what other projects they have going on also.
Yeah.
So if you're planning trips, that's an amazing tool to use.
It is, absolutely. Very helpful. All right, that's it.
All right, commissioners, do you have anything for Loretta?
I do not. Thanks.
All right, Loretta, I'll get a hold of you one of these days. Well, let's go on a road trip again and we can see the amazing work done by our folks out there.
Yeah, we're in full swing right now. And so there's a lot to take a look at. Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah, tomorrow.
A lot of work to be proud of, for sure.
Oh, for sure. Tomorrow with the Public Works Board, I'll be touring another wastewater treatment plant. So they're interesting, but I'll let
that they are. Richard can tell you.
Yes, he can.
He's very interested.
All right. Thank you, Loretta.
Commissioners.
All right, commissioners, that brings us to the end. Do we have anything that we need to discuss?
I don't think so. Not for me.
Me either.
All righty.
Madam Chair, I move we adjourn.
Second.
All right, we're adjourned. See you guys later.
Ah.